Let's cross to our correspondent, Nina Maria Potts, who's on the ground in Washington, D.C. Nina Maria, is this unfolding the way people had anticipated or moving a bit more slowly?
I would say that things are moving pretty rapidly, and ahead of the election, no one was quite willing to predict a Joe Biden landslide, nor whether President Trump would eke out a victory. And it is looking incredibly close, as you've been reporting just ahead of me. The popular vote as well is somewhat of a surprise. Current projections are 50.7% to Trump and 47.9% to Biden. And the Electoral College, the latest numbers, Biden at 118 and Trump at 105. So it's really close. And some surprise states, which earlier in the evening we thought were going to Biden, are now leaning towards Trump. I would put a warning label on that and say we're still pretty early on in the evening. We've got a long way to go. So, you know, we're being really careful about our projections here in DC.
Is it important that there is a comprehensive win for someone?
It is important because 4 years under President Trump has revealed an America which is deeply divided and deeply polarized. And I think the question is whether or not America has changed forever, and whether, if Joe Biden does win decisively tonight, he will be in a position to do what he's promising to do, which is unify the nation. He's made his campaign very much about restoring the soul of America, bringing Americans together, unifying them, addressing racial divisions. And I think as the rest of the world looks at this election, it's worth wondering and questioning whether or not America has permanently changed. President Trump disengaged America from multilateral agreements. He took arbitrary, sometimes unpredictable, unilateral decisions, especially in foreign policy. And as we look to Joe Biden, I think the rest of the world, or certainly America's allies, is looking for a sense of continuity. Joe Biden may be able to restore the faith that America is a multilateral leader in the world. But I think President Trump has revealed something that perhaps even outsiders didn't quite understand, that there's a certain degree of dysfunctionality in America, as we saw with the protests over the summer, the handling of the pandemic, which is alarming. And the question is that dysfunctional trait in American culture, that individualism, that selfishness that has revealed itself, is that permanent, and can it change even under a Democratic president?
Nina Maria, you mentioned there Joe Biden basically campaigning for the soul of America, and obviously Donald Trump was pushing the economy, you know, the best economy ever, the best stock exchange, all the rest of it. So is there any, indication or feeling on the ground whether people are voting for a soul or a full pocketbook?
I think it's a very, very good question. I mean, I think the big surprise tonight is that in some of these very important battleground states, the coronavirus pandemic has really gotten its grip on those states. I mean, some of the numbers are alarming. Wisconsin, the coronavirus cases are up by 88%. Michigan, they're up by 115%. And coronavirus deaths are up by 15%. So this is a nation in crisis. It's looking at a very dark, bleak winter, an uncertain political future. So back to your earlier question about why a decisive win matters, it really does, because what this country is yearning for right now is strong and strident leadership, and the appeal to the hearts and minds and soul of Americans. It may be a message that is just simply too soft. President Trump has held true to his pledge to keep the economy open. It's one of the things that no one can accuse him of not doing. I mean, he pushed ahead in order to keep that economic recovery on track. That's his narrative. He accuses Joe Biden persistently of, having a plan to keep the country in one big national permanent lockdown. And when voters hear that, I think it is extremely scary for Americans, given their history of not really saving properly. People that have lost their jobs are living month to month. It is an extremely frightening time for a lot of Americans. Now, whether or not President Trump's bullishness on the economy is making a difference and giving Americans something to cling on to, well, we'll know that soon enough.
So what have the two candidates been up to today?
Well, President Trump spent part of the morning with the RNC in Virginia. Joe Biden was in Pennsylvania earlier and is now with his family in Wilmington and in Delaware. President Trump hosted a watch party earlier for some 250 guests, invitees. And originally we thought it was going to be about 400. We're told that he has retreated now with his family and with his chief of staff. And as one of your reporters said earlier, we're unofficially expecting President Trump to speak. This is the first time that both presidential candidates are in their 70s. They have spent the final hours and final days of the campaign crisscrossing the country with enormous energy and vigor. The last 3 days before the election, President Trump was hitting 3, if not 5 states a day. So, you know, the campaign has officially ended. Both made public appearances through the course of Election Day and are now watching with bated breath, much like the rest of us.
Thank you, Nina Maria. That's Nina Maria Potts coming to us live from Washington, D.C.